But yeah,
Well,
that's like I was telling you the other night here in Ohio, like my first prison sentence, it was like sharks and minnows, when I went to prison the first time. My second prison term, it was like sharks, minnows, and piranhas. So like you had all these little young bucks around you. You know what I mean? Like they weren't dangerous as one. They were only dangerous in a pack. You know what I'm saying? That's where their strength lied, was in their numbers. So,
out here, the Southsiders aren't really allowed to fight any other race one on one. It's just not really permitted.
really,
So, yeah,
yeah. And I mean, I get rolling together. I mean, I get that rolling with your homeboy, but at the same time, there, I don't know. I think it's situational. You know what I'm saying?
I agree, bro. It would solve a lot of problems, but that's
Yeah.
not how it's done out here. You should hear the Cambodians and stuff. The Southside don't fight fair. Southside come from everywhere.
That's
Yeah. Why you want shampoo? You boom boom your house, round eye. Like them Cambodians are off the hooks, bro. Because TRG, they had a green light on them. Or ABC, no TRG, yeah, they had a green light on them, and them Cambodians had it rough, bro. But yeah,
yeah.
that cracks me up that you say that. So
Yeah.
go on.
Yeah. So, that made me really realize, like, I'm not going to put myself after that. My last sentence, dealing with what I was dealing with losing my sight and everything, and I put getting out, I had put myself in a shit position to where, like, I burnt pretty much any bridges I did have with any good people in my life. I done burnt that up. So I got out, of prison homeless. I didn't, I decided when I was in there, after, what I seen in there, the way, if you don't want to be at someone else's will, don't go to prison is my advice to anyone. But, you know, I decided I wanted to do something different with my life. I didn't have no idea what I was going to do to try to better my life, but I decided, I wasn't going to, I was going to try not to get put back in that situation.
So
And,
how much did you do on the second one?
I did 18 months off the rip, and then I got out, and I did really good, man. Like I got out, I had like another like a little less. I had like 11 months left of my sentence. Like I had like 345 days was what I owed DRC for the charges, and I ended up not having to do that time. I got out. I really like made the best go of it. What they do here in Ohio, like they don't give you parole. Like if you get out early, they'll give you what they call like a judicial release. So like they let me out a little more than halfway through my bid. They let me out. I did 18 months. I got out. I had another 11 months over my head though. So I was on probation through the county I was charged in. Okay. So I got out, was homeless, on probation, having to pay them and give them their money, and live in a homeless shelter at the time. So
So when you're
uh,
paroling, they didn't hook you up with any kind of, like, hey, here, go here, or they just, here's your gate money and fucking good luck to you, or did
oh
they?
yeah. Like they don't they like I begged for my brother. He just got out 2 months ago. I begged for him to get put and set up in a halfway house, because he was getting out. My brother's completely blind. He can't see anything at all. And they let him out of North Central, just sent him, they put him on the bus, and that was that.
Drop them
And
off, spin them around 4 times, and tell them good luck.
more or less. I mean, here, we'll point you in the right direction. Good luck
They
to you.
point you towards the highway and shit.
Yeah. So basically, I ended up at a homeless shelter that was pretty much right there in the county I was charged in. They did point me as far as, they did tell me when I went to probation and told him my situation. He was like, you can either, I can get you set up in this halfway house, when they got a bed come up, or, here's some info on the local, homeless shelter. And, that's where I went. I went there, and luckily I'd stumbled into a small 12-step meeting, while I was staying at, I was killing time on a Saturday, from the homeless shelter. And I go past, and there's free coffee and donuts, and
That's an invite right
yeah,
there.
yeah, and but I decided, I was going to get involved in some type of recovery in prison, you know, and I'd been to some meetings, you know, inside, but so I ended up going, you know, sitting down, and I kept going back to that same little 12-step group, you know, and you know, it was crazy that, to me, one of the biggest things was just the positive support that I got from that, you know, from the people there, was something I lacked like my whole life. You know what I mean? That was one of the biggest things that, you know, probably helped me out of anything, was just that having that, you know.
So didn't you say that this was like a little bit different than a standard 12-step?
Yeah. This was okay. So this was like Celebrate Recovery is what they call it. It's the same 12 steps as AA. It's same principles and all that. You know, I mean, it's the same thing. It's, you know, my God's different than your God. It's the only difference, really.
So did you have God of your understanding before you went to prison? Did you have any faith, any kind of anything going for you?
Not really, no.
Oh,
No, I had like you know, I had like my little worked out view of things, I guess.
Sort of like how you tried to work the program the first time around, right? Your little view of how it should.
Tried to make it into what fit my lifestyle, which
How'd that work out for you?
yeah, trust me, don't do that.
Right.
You know, yeah. So yeah, getting into recovery, that was one of the coolest things about the people, though, is like, they didn't support me because I relapsed or nothing, but I like, it was like they understood that when I came back from the couple relapses I went through, it's like they understood I was carrying enough shame to deal. You know what I mean? Like,
don't kill wounded.
Yeah. It's like they knew I was beating myself up enough over the relapse. So like, that was one thing. Like my home group, I was really blessed that, you know, I never felt no type of shade when I did relapse, which was good, because when I did go out, I never went out for no extended period of time, you know.
Thank God you're smart enough to come back right away, you know. Not everyone makes it back, my boy. You know that. You've seen that enough on your own, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, and the funny thing is like, the way it worked out the last time is like, I went out, and then like I came back just in like the right time, to where like it was right before I found out my daughter was being, you know, on the way. So had I not came back, you know, I might not be here today, because you know how dangerous it is.
For sure, man. We lose one every 6 minutes.
Yeah. Well, that's what I don't know if you know, here in Ohio, I think per population, we're one of the highest with the overdose rates, you know, because the fentanyl and the carfentanil. It's
so
like I was telling you,
I haven't really heard about that too much. What's the carfentanil?
Okay, the carfentanil, like I remember I was talking to you last night about there was 21 COs treated for just being in contact with this dope or whatever. There was 21 COs treated in an Ohio prison over a year ago for overdose symptoms, because they came in contact with some I guess it was fentanyl or carfentanil, but basically fentanyl is 100 times stronger than heroin, right? Well, carfentanil is 1,000 times stronger than fentanyl. So like, supposedly they thought someone hit a pack in the ventilation system, and that's why these
COs got symptoms. Nobody else
there was 21 COs treated for overdose symptoms, man.
How many inmates?
None. One nurse. One nurse. It's kind of weird, huh?
And I think the nurse was passing the shit out.
Yeah, I tell you what. Someone I posted the actual news clips and a video I made about it, because to me, you know, growing up the way I did and hustling and stuff, like, it don't make sense to have dope that's so strong that someone could touch it and die. You know what I mean?
Like, made a video about it. Where would this video be?
It'd be on the Recovery, all one word, up on my channel. And again, that's The Recovery.
Your channel is what? State it again.
The Recovery, all one word.
No lower score or nothing, just The Recovery.
Yeah, just The Recovery. Yeah, and like I said, man, it's just crazy, you know, that there's dope out there that's causing people to overdose from coming. from coming in contact with their skin, it's just crazy,
with us again. He's gonna. He shared a little bit about his first story, and he grew up, medium class household with two drug addicted people in the household, and was slinging a little here and there. He made some poor decisions, got addicted to the lifestyle just as much as the drugs, ended up in prison twice. Jeff's going blind from a disease that is in the genes, I guess.
Yeah,
so genetics, my bad. I didn't know if they were in your Levi's or what. So
yeah.
Anyway, like when you were moving your phone around, I seen the tour of the pad. We got a new washer and dryer kicking off. We got a couple of kids running around. One seemed like he was or somewhere around mid-age, middle range, getting ready to be out on their own soon, maybe.
Yeah,
hopefully, huh? Right. So most kids nowadays, especially the drug addicted ones, don't leave home until after their 40s. You know what I mean? So that's how it is out here. You're back in Ohio. You're in the Midwest, East Coast, and your prison system didn't offer you much as far as when you got out. You ended up homeless. You ended up making it on your own. You didn't fucking give up, man.
That's one thing. Like I try to tell people there are systems set up out there, and there is help if you have a felony or not. A lot of it is people, it's a lot of red tape, to deal with. But if you're willing to stay at it, there are programs to help people. But like getting out of prison, there's not really a whole lot of help that they set anyone up with to reentry is a joke as far as here in Ohio.
Do you guys have gate money when you leave? They give you so much money when you leave?
They'll give you enough to buy, like, I think it's like $100 and something bucks. They used to do gate pay, which was like $220 or something. So you had enough to buy like a bus ticket and have, you had some money in your pocket to eat probably for a day. That's about it. But now they don't even do that. Like with my brother, they took him to the bus station, got him a bus ticket to Cincinnati, and that was it,
Hey, check this out. Out here in California, this black dude did his case law and everything, right? So back in the day, they used to give you a $20 gold piece, okay, when you left. He sued the state of California for that $20 gold piece and won. You know what I mean?
I heard something about that. I remember hearing about that.
So he ended up getting that gold piece, which, was enough to roll with it, bro. You got nothing but time inside to figure out how you're going to screw the system over when you get out. And he did a great job. Respect on him. Because like you say, out here, out there, out anywhere, they don't give a fuck about us. Period.
And the money that they're getting, that's the second thing is there's money actually given to them for reentry So yeah, basically, it took a lot of things, to fall. Luckily, I was, a lot of things fell together for me to where I was able to get on my feet within that first year, and I had a great support system due to being in the rooms, and that wasn't just my small group. I went to I did AA also. I did any meeting that was around because I got to keep myself busy. You know what I mean? I'm my own worst enemy. So
let me ask you this: have you completed the steps?
Yeah. I've more than once.
Huh? More than once? Yeah. Me too.
It took me a couple times. And I actually was just talking about the fourth step the other day because for me that's where like a lot of the change happened. And I remember my sponsor like really kind of pushing me to get through my fourth step, and I'm glad he did because I started looking at my part and a lot of any conflict that came up in my life after that point.
I was look at their part though, right?
It's a hard thing to do, man. It's no fun.
Talking about the fourth step, that was my hardest one. You know what I mean? Noticing, because you know, I grew up in the penal system, bro. So I only had like fucking two emotions: or me hungry, me horny, me tired. You know what I mean? Like that was the extent of it. And you did this, and you did that. The blame was always going like this. You know, well, I got one finger pointed at you. I got three pointed back at myself. You know what I mean? I never realized that, you know, it fucks with my personal relations, my sexual relations, my pocketbook, my pride, you know, my ambition. I didn't recognize all that shit. I didn't know any of that, you know. And then to go on into the four step, into the next, you know, column 4, you know, what did it affect? You know what I mean? I mean, what does it show? I'm selfish, self-seeking, inconsiderate, dishonest, and afraid. You know what I mean? Well, I ain't afraid of shit. I've been to riots with a whole bunch of guys. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't realize that I was afraid of you fucking knowing this about me, or you seeing a weakness in me, or do you get what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know any of it. It was fear. I had no that.
We only show anger. Yeah, that's what I was actually talking about this, is like when I went through my 4-step, like it was crazy because, you know, like you said, I only knew how to show, like, if I was upset, if I was sad, if I was whatever it was.
But it all turned to the same thing, anger, right?
Yeah, it was all anger. So like, you know, it was crazy. Like people, you know, don't realize, like, I really believe in the 12 steps, and I believe it can help anyone because, you know, until we start seeing things like, you know, doing the 4-step and, you know, a lot of people, we grew up like this, you know what I mean? So our actions are normal because we think it's normal, at least because that's what we've only seen the unhealthy side of it.
Right. You know?
Yes. So
crazy. And you know, the steps are put together perfect. And it doesn't matter if you're an addict, an alcoholic, or fucking just a fucking normie that doesn't really know how to live. I believe the steps can help you in every way. You know, our 4th step is laid out for our 8th step. You know what I mean? Right there's already all our 8-step shit.
That's the people already right there.
Right?
That's what I was
going out
saying.
and working a 9th step with somebody was so hard because obviously you do the fucking hard ones first, right?
Yeah.
You know, I did. I went and did the hard ones first.
Yeah, you take it out of the way.
I wrote my victims' parents, and I actually got a response letter, bro, and I carried that letter around without opening it until I relapsed. You know what I mean? Like, the letter was with me the entire time until I relapsed. Like, it was just too heavy on me, and I relapsed before I read it. And I wish I had read it before I relapsed, because maybe I would have
forgave yourself a little.
The letter was pretty much stating, hey, if it wasn't you, it would have been somebody else. Our son, we knew our son was with the sickness, you know what I mean? Like, he wasn't right. I was being forgiven. And if I had read that earlier, maybe I wouldn't have relapsed, you know? It's some serious shit, you know what I mean? And the hardest part for me is leaving all the shit that I feel like they did to me out of it when I'm doing my 9th step. You know what I mean? I'd tell them how I'm selfish, self-seeking, inconsiderate, dishonest, and afraid. I let them know all my positions in that step. And then when I here's the hardest part. Did I leave anything out? You know what I mean? I hated having to do that, bro. Because they're like, as a matter of fact, you know what I mean? So, and then you know, the obvious question is, well, what can I do to repair this damage? You know, those are heavy fucking questions, man.